One of the things that's so special about this prayer garden here beside the columbarium is this statue of Jesus at prayer. We're reminded how during Holy Week that Jesus went to a garden just outside of the walls of Jerusalem, the east side of Jerusalem, to the Mount of Olives, just across the Kidron Valley, to a place called Gethsemane. Matthew, Mark, Luke, all the synoptic gospels speak of this prayer place that Jesus and friends would go during the evening. Jesus would be teaching in the temple during the daytime, and then at night they'd go up on the hillside on the Mount of Olives. There were olive trees everywhere, to a special place of prayer called Gethsemane. It's interesting that the word Gethsemane literally means olive crush. So there must have been a place for these olives to be harvested and crushed for their oil nearby. But this was a special prayer place that Jesus and friends came. According to the synoptic gospels, Jesus had served the Last Supper, the Seder meal, the Passover meal, and after they sang a hymn, they went to Gethsemane where they prayed together. The gospels tell us that Jesus removed himself from the disciples just a stone's throw away where he could be alone in prayer. In fact, the Gospel of Luke says that Jesus wept as he prayed, and that he perhaps also sweat great drops of blood, that he recognized that the next day was going to be a day of sacrifice. And so he was alone with God for a while. And it's interesting how on this statue that it's been prepared for us, even with a tear coming from Jesus' eyes, we recognize that this was a difficult moment for our Lord, and that we see his humanity in him as he's on his knees praying to God. And we'll always remember the prayer that he prayed that night when he said, "Father, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but your will be done." That image of a cup is a metaphor for death, for sacrifice, for suffering. And so Jesus was appealing to God, if there's another way for us to go outside of sacrifice and death and the cross, may that be. But if not, your will be done. In other words, Jesus was sacrificing his own life for the will of God the next day. I've often heard it said that battles are won or lost even before they're ever fought. And the battle that happened on Good Friday at Golgotha, I think, was fought in prayer at Gethsemane. And so this is a special image for us that reminds us that even on the night before he died, that Jesus won the battle here in his prayer life and resolved to follow God all the way to Calvary. And so what a special place it is, especially during Holy Week, to remember the prayer life of Jesus and that special night at Gethsemane when he surrendered his life completely to the will of God and went all the way to the cross out of love for us. And for that we say thanks be to God.